Judgment Day are described in the passive form. Allah doesn't say, Allah will stretch the earth. He'll say, the earth will get stretched. He won't say, Allah will sail the mountains. He'll say, the mountains will be made to sail. As if it's a mystery, like people getting up or saying, why is this happening? Why is this happening? And then they will know. كَلَّا سَيَعْلَمُونَ. You have to be curious before your question's answered, isn't it? So He creates that curiosity. وَتَرَى الْجِبَالَ تَحْسَبُهَا جَامِدَةً وَهِيَ تَمُرُّ مَرَّ السَّحَابِ. Another place in the Quran He says, you'll see the mountains that you see are fixtures. They never move from their place. And they will be sailing away like clouds do. وَتَكُونُ الْجِبَالُ كَالْعِهْنِ الْمَنْفُوشِ. Mountains will be like wool, rolled up, that just rolls down the street. Carded wool. And so He describes it as something يُخَيَّلُ إِلَى النَّاظِرِ أَنَّهَا شَيْءٍ وَلَيْسَتْ بِشَيْءٍ وَبَعْدَ هَذَا تَذْهَبُ بِالْكُلِّيَّةِ. First of all, when He sees this moving, He says, no, this can't be happening. And then all of a sudden the mountains themselves disappear. They become flattened altogether. فَلَا عَيْنْ وَلَا أَثَرٍ. No, neither do you see anything, nor is there any trace of it. يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الْجِبَالِ فَقُلْ يَنْسِفُهَا رَبِّي نَسْفًا فَيَذَرُهَا قَاعًا صَفْصَفًا لَا تَرَى فِيهَا عِوَجًا وَلَا أَمْتًا. SubhanAllah. They ask you about the mountains. Allah says, Allah will crush it like it's never been crushed before. And He will leave it completely barren, flat. You will not see any ups and downs. They will not see any dips, or it will be completely flattened. SubhanAllah. You know, sometimes we don't appreciate this because we don't live in a mountainous part of the country. When you travel to places in the world that are mountainous, like most recently the mountainous place I was in Cape Town in South Africa. And when you're there and half the city's on the mountain, and you're standing on one end of the hill and you're looking at, the lion's head, right? It's from one end of the city to the other. And then you remember the ayat of Allah. Or when you're standing on top of a mountain, looking over at the ocean, and you remember that this is going to be just flat. There's nothing's going to be here. This impenetrable beast is going to be gone. SubhanAllah. It just humbles you. This is the description of Judgment Day and how this life is going to now be making its way for a new life. It's rolling open. By the way, we'll get there later on. Why is the earth being flattened? Why is everything being leveled? It's making room for people. Because everybody's getting resurrected. Not just our generation. All generations are being resurrected. So it's going to get pretty tight. But there's also room needs to be made for the scrolls of deeds that have to be laid out. وَإِذَا الصُّحُفُ نُشِرَتْ. The scrolls of our actions are going to be this endless scroll that's spread out, Quran says. You have to make room for it first. And so all of the earth is being flattened. The oceans are being dried up by making them boil. They boil over, sujirat, so that this room can be made. SubhanAllah. May Allah protect us on that day. So now he turns to Jahannam. He describes Jahannam before he describes Jannah. He says, Inna Jahannama kanat mirsada. Hell, Jahannam, which is, by the way, not an Arabic word originally. It came into Arabic over time. Its origins are either Farsi, better argued that it's from Persian, Gehenna. Or not Persian, Hebrew, Gehenna, which is a valley, it's a trash valley. Right? That's where the origin comes from. But Gehnam, or Jahannam in Farsi, means torture chamber. And from those mixtures of meanings comes the Arabic word Jahannam, the name Allah gave to the hellfire. A torture chamber. And a place of filth. It's really in its origin a place of filth. Why? Because the people who will end up in it will be filthy people. That's what it's for. This is why Allah says, "La yaslaha illa al-ashqa." He does not put in it anybody except the most wretched. The worst of the worst of the worst will be going into Jahannam. La yaslaha illa al-ashqa. So in any case, Inna Jahannama kanat mirsada. Imam Razi, Fakhruddin al-Razi rahimahullah says, Inna Jahannama kanat kal-muntadhira li-maqdumihim min qadim al-zaman wa kal-mustad'ihi wa talibati lahum. Allah. He says, hell has been waiting in ambush, waiting for those that it wants to feed on. Just finally, when will they arrive? Surah Qaf will tell us, Hal min mazid. When we will say, Allah speaks to Jahannam. Jahannam is actually a living thing. It's a creature, it speaks, it has conversation. It speaks with Allah. Allah speaks to it and says, Yawma naqulu li Jahannam halim talati. The day we say to Jahannam, are you full? Have you had enough? Wa taqulu hal min mazid. It says, is there any more? Is there any more I can feed on? SubhanAllah. If you contrast that with the other scene of Jahannam, there are people stuffed inside Jahannam, there's no room. Do you know what rahab in Arabic means? Rahab is like sa'a. That's why we say ala rahbi wa sa'a. Sa'a means room. Room. Well, you know when they say marhaban? You know what they're saying? We got room for you. We got room for you. Come on in, there's plenty of space. Jahannam happens, there are people stuffed inside hell, piled on top of each other, crushing each other, and their next generation is being thrown in. And they say, La marhaban bihim. That doesn't mean they're not welcome. It's not your marhaban like you invite somebody, marhaban, marhaban. We got no room here, what are you doing? You're stuffing more in? Hell itself is overstuffed. And when Allah asks that hell, have you had enough? What does it say? No, give me more. هل من مزيد? Is there any more? لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. So here, mirsad, rasad in Arabic is to ambush. Like in Surah At-Tawbah, وَقَعَدُوا لَهُمْ كُلَّ مَرْصَدٍ. Wait for them in every place you can ambush them. Mirsad actually means a thing that is meant to attack all of a sudden. A device or a place that is meant for ambush. That's the name of hell. It's like an animal. You know how they show in Discovery Channel, like a lion sits under the grass or under the tall stalks, and it perches, and is waiting for the right time? That's the description of Jahannam. That's actually one of the reasons it's called Jahim. You've heard the name Jahim, right, for Jahannam? Jahim actually comes from Jaham, which is the stare of a lion when it's got its eyes on its prey. That's one of its names. Just a beast waiting to attack. Inna Jahannama kanat mirsada. It's been waiting to attack for a long time. Wal marsad, that's the other wild thing about the word mirsad. Wal mirsadu inda al-Arab at-tariq. Mirsad also means a road. It means two things. Attack, a place to ambush. It also means a road. Now why is that important? This is al-makan, ismun lil-makan alladhi yusadu fihi wa ala hadha al-wajhu fihi ihtimalan. There could be two interpretations of this ayah. أحدهما أن خزنة جهنم يرصدون الكفار. One meaning is that the guardians of hell are waiting to ambush the disbelievers. والثاني أن مجاز المؤمنين وممرهم كان على جهنم. كما قال سبحانه وتعالى وإن منكم إلا واردها. Allah Azza wa Jalla says in the Quran. The first meaning is the hell is waiting to ambush. The second meaning is everybody will have to pass over it. It is a road everybody must travel over. Quran will say in another place, there is not a single one of you except that they have to go over it. We will all have to go over it. That's the sirat. We'll have to see what it is. You have to know what you've escaped. You have to come, and then those who get past it, there are people who keep falling in. And there are people who keep going further, and they'll make it through. You know? And then they will be received by the guardians of heaven. The gates to heaven are not just an easy road. You know? That's why when people are walking towards heaven, they're saying, رَبَّنَا أَتْمِمْ لَنَا نُورَنَا وَاغْفِرْ لَنَا. Master, complete for us our light and forgive us, because it's completely dark. You don't know if you're stepping into empty space, or you're walking over a bridge. You don't know. Every step you need light. So you keep begging Allah, complete our light. Forgive us as you're walking towards Jannah. SubhanAllah. Now, this word mirsad, وَقِيلَ أَنَّهَا تَرْصُدُ إِعْدَاءَ اللَّهِ وَتَشُقُّ عَلَيْهِمْ. This is simple, that it's meant for the enemies of Allah. لِلطَّاغِينَ مَآبًا. He says Jahannam is waiting to ambush, and the next ayah is, for the rebellious, a place they will go back to. For the rebellious, taghin, a place they will go back to. First understand taghin. Tughyan in Arabic is when water goes out of reach, or goes out of its container. If you left a sink open, and you closed the bottom, and it kept filling up and you forgot about it, and it started flooding out, that's tughyanul ma. Water flooded out, and it went where it wasn't supposed to go. The thing with water is, it's really battamiz, it has no respect. It goes wherever it wants to go. It doesn't care about you or your furniture. When a flood comes, it doesn't go around the nice furniture. It doesn't go around your house. It takes your house. It has no consideration. You know, it doesn't have any bounds. Until you put limits around it, once it's going to go out, it's going to go out. إِنَّا لَمَّا طَغَى الْمَاء حَمَلْنَاكُمْ فِي الْجَارِيَةِ. When the water rebelled, that's when we put you on the boat. With Nuh alayhi salam. Allah describes with that word people who rebel against Allah. What does that mean? There are people who understand that they should remain inside a container. They should remain inside these lines. Don't do this haram, don't take that action, don't say these words, don't do this testimony, don't earn this kind of money. There's a few lines you and I are not supposed to cross. He put that around us. But then he just suggested those lines. You could be like the water that slips out and goes wherever you feel like it. And for those of you who had free reign, you could do whatever you want. Now, those people who had free reign, now they get to go into Jahannam. Every time they try to get out, ma'aba, it's a place that pulls them back in. It's a place to keep going back to. Keep. Aba, yani raja'a, makan al-ruju'. Makan al-ruju' means people are trying to scale out of hell and being pushed back down. Running out of hell, being pushed back down. These were the people who didn't want to stay within the limits of Allah, and now they are contained within the limits of hell. May Allah not make us of them. لِلطَّاغِينَ مَآبًا لَابِثِينَ. And by the way, if you combine those two ayat together, it's so beautiful. It's إِنَّ جَهَنَّمَ كَانَتْ مِرْصَادًا لِلْكُلِّ. Jahannam is waiting to attack everybody. But it will push people inside it. Which ones? لِلطَّاغِينَ. And لِلطَّاغِينَ مَآبٌ لِلطَّاغِينَ خَاصَّةً. It's only a place where they're going to keep going back to. Those who were rebellious, may Allah not make us of them. And those of us that have been, may Allah accept our apology and our istighfar. لَابِثِينَ فِيهَا أَحْقَابًا. They will stay in it long periods of time. Labth in Arabic, to stay for a long period of time. And then he adds, not only long period of time, أَحْقَابًا, ages upon ages upon ages. So the question became, what are these ages? What is this haqab? Plural of haqab is ahqab. أي دهورا متتابعة يتبع بعضها بعضا. It means ages, meaning entire generations, one coming after the other. The time that takes one generation to switch to another, you will remain there for multiple generations. You ever heard in court they say the following prisoner or the following plaintiff is now sentenced with multiple life sentences? Right? I mean, the guy, you could sentence him for 300 years. He's going to be dead in 20. He's already 80. Right? But you still say he's sentenced multiple life sentences? Jahannam is actually multiple life sentences. That's why ahqaban is used. So I'll share one opinion with you so you appreciate what ahqab are. وَقَالَ عَطَاء وَالْكَلْبِ وَمَقَاتِلْ عَنْ ibn Abbas. This is attributed to Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhum. الْحَقْبُ الْوَاحِدْ بِدْعٌ وَثَمَانُونَ سَنَةً. It's 80 something years. Let's say 83 years. Okay? It's 80 something years. وَالسَّنَةُ 360 يَوْمًا. And a year is 360, we say 365 days, right? وَالْيَوْمُ أَلْفُ سَنَةٍ مِنْ أَيَّامِ الدُّنْيَا. That, a huqb is 80 years, made up of 365 days, and each of those days is 1,000 years from our count. That's a huqb. Allah didn't say they will stay there for one huqb. He said they will stay there huqb, after huqb, after huqb, after huqb. Why not just say they'll stay there forever? I get it. Why break it up? What's the point? Let me help you with a silly example. I used to conduct a lot of psychological experiments with my elementary school kids. I used to be a math teacher. It was a lot of fun torturing children psychologically. We don't say it, we don't call it that, we call it education, but that's what we're really doing. So here's what I used to do. I'm going to make this kid miss 20 minutes of recess. Recess itself is 35 minutes. This kid misbehaved in class, you're going to sit there for 20 minutes, but I don't tell him that. I tell him it's 10 minutes. When he's looking at that clock, 7 minutes. I mean, his seat starts getting hotter. You can see him popping out of the seat because he can't stay. 9 minutes, the seconds are counting down. At the very first moment the clock hits 10, I said, no, another 10 minutes. It was actually 20. Oh. The pain of that news. And then those next 10 minutes might as well be 1,000 years. Because there was so much hope that I'm finishing my prison sentence. I could see the gates to heaven, which means the gates to the playground. And now those have been shut again. Hopelessness. The pain of knowing I have to go back. Ma'ab, right? Takes you back again. You know how prisoners, after they do a certain number of years, they go back and say maybe they can get an early release? Right? He's done his time, he's been a good person, he didn't stab anybody for at least 7 years now. And he cleans up the library or whatever, so can we give him an early release? Or maybe put him on probation or whatever? He's hoping, I've done an entire haqab. We're getting an evaluation. He goes up and then he's thrown back down in ma'aba. This is labithina fiha ahqaba. The psychological torture of Jahannam. La yadhuquna fiha bardan wala sharaban. They will not taste in it no coolness. No coolness means the intensity of the fire will not wear off. That means that, when you have a burn victim, right? The burns hurt for a long time. But eventually what happens to them? They heal. And our sensors, the skin has sensors. When the skin melts off, then there's no more pain. بَدَّلْنَا جُلُودًا غَيْرَهُ. We will replace them with new skin every time. They will not get a moment of cool. They won't be lying in a fire and saying, at least it doesn't burn anymore. Nope. No taste of coolness. وَلَا شَرَابًا. And they will not be tasting any drink whatsoever. Except, there will be some drink. إِلَّا حَمِيمًا وَغَسَّاقًا. Except boiling pus. Scorching melted copper. That's what they get to drink. That's what's poured onto them. إِلَّا حَمِيمًا وَغَسَّاقًا. In Surah Al-Rahman, Allah will describe, when He describes hell, He says, يَطُوفُونَ بَيْنَهَا وَبَيْنَ حَمِيمٍ آنٍ. He completes this picture. He says, there's hell, there's fire, they're burning. Give us some relief, something to drink, anything, I'll take anything to drink. They run over to where there's drink and it's boiling pus and it's melted metal. And they say, we can't take this anymore, I need to dry this off of me. And they run back to the fire. And they come back to the drink. And they come back to the fire. يَطُوفُونَ بَيْنَهَا وَبَيْنَ حَمِيمٍ آنٍ. They make tawaf between the two. That's the description of hell. May Allah not put us in hellfire. And when you hear this, I know a lot of teenagers here, why is God so drastic? Why is He got to be like that? Oh my God. Christians are so loving and so nice. Why do we have to have such a ew? Listen, teenager, whether you like it or not, the storm is coming. Whether you like it or not, reality won't change. Your preferences, nowadays we think of religion as, well, I'm not comfortable with that, that's why I don't follow it. Religion is not an outfit you just tried. Religion is not a video game. It's not a movie. It's not a product that is there to serve you. It's not a shopping activity. Our deen is the truth. And truth hurts. Whether you like it or not. Many of us have now started thinking about religion as just one thing that serves us. We don't serve Allah, Allah should serve us. Why should I pray? Why should I go to Hajj? Why am I supposed to fast? What do I get out of it? I made all this dua, I still failed my test. I'm not going to make dua. Now you're not making dua and you're going to fail your test. At least you were doing something right. People want the religion to serve them. What is Islam doing for me? Allah does not speak from a position of serving you. You're called abd. You're the slave. You don't go to the master and say, so what are you doing for me today? What He does, we know. The question is, what do you do and what do I do? But the bigger question is, when Allah describes this horrifying description, who would deserve such a thing? How could anybody deserve this? It's a fair question. I mean, we're only going to be on this earth 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 years. And ahqab on top of ahqab of this kind of torture. What crime could they have possibly committed that they deserve this? Allah says, jaza'an. Jaza'an. You know what jaza' means? It means earned income. By using the word jaza', Allah is saying that this is actually earned, deserved. But He didn't stop at jaza'. He said jaza'an wifaqan. Wifaq is the masdar, it's the infinitive form of wafaqa. Wafaqa means agreeable, appropriate, right, absolutely right. Wifaqan basically translates then into, because it's a masdar, I'll skip the grammar, I'll tell you simply. Wifaqan means this is a compensation that is the very definition of appropriate payment. If you ever think of appropriate payment, this is it. Jaza'an, not muwafiqan. Jaza'an wifaqan, the masdar. The very definition of appropriateness is this. Why? What is the crime? إِنَّهُمْ كَانُوا لَا يَرْجُونَ حِسَابًا. First part of the crime. Yeah, it's not multiple crimes, it's one series of crimes, but Allah first describes the root problem, then the crime. So listen. إِنَّهُمْ كَانُوا لَا يَرْجُونَ حِسَابًا. These people were never ever expecting or hopeful of any kind of audit. They had no sense of accountability. These people lived a life of no accountability. I don't care. Not just I don't care about hell or I don't care about judgment day. His mother said, calm down, son. And he said, I don't care. His brother was in the hospital. He said, I don't care. Her mom was begging, don't go to that party. I don't care, mom. Stop it. You don't own me. No sense of accountability. To those who did good to you. To those who you owe. To those who you're responsible for. You didn't care about earning the right way, doing right by people, keeping your word, keeping your promises, doing right by your family, taking care of those who you're responsible for. You just didn't care. You didn't care. You didn't care what you ate. You didn't care what you did. You didn't care who you were with. You didn't care. La yarjun. There's no sense of accountability. That's the first crime. You stop caring. You're not hopeful for anything better. This is all I get. This is this. You only live once. That's the YOLO lifestyle. This should be a contemporary translation of this ayah. Innahum YOLO. Kanu la yarjuna hisaba. These people were just, I don't know who's gonna check on me? Who's gonna put me in my place? These were the kind of people, anybody tries to advise them, they flip out. They lose it. They lose it. They become livid. You? Oh, you're gonna tell me. They don't have, and if anybody tries to softly advise them, there's some kind of, yeah man, no, I don't want, let's not worry about that. Their hopes were elsewhere. Their aspirations were elsewhere. But that's not even the crime. The crime is what comes as a result. وَكَذَّبُوا بِآيَاتِنَا كِذَّابًا. They declared our miraculous revelations. They declared all of our signs nothing but a lie. They didn't just deny them, they called it all a lie. They mocked religion, they mocked the revelations, they mocked the signs Allah gave them. They didn't even look at the signs Allah gave them in their life. Ayat is a grand word, it's not just referring to revelations, though primarily it is. They denied the word of Allah. They made fun of it. You know, they didn't care for it. But on top of that, there are signs in your life. There are things happen, Allah put signs in your life to put you in your place and say, listen, take a step back. You need to humble yourself. You'll be driving on the road, there's a car accident right in front of you. It happened right in front of you. And you were thinking about changing lanes just a second ago. And you said, nah, I'll just wait 2 seconds. And those 2 seconds meant your life was saved. Who do you think put that thought in your head that you should change your lane 2 seconds later? That was a sign from Allah. You call that a lie too. And you still didn't make a U-turn and go back home instead of going to the party. You still didn't turn around. That's كَذَّبُوا بِآيَاتِنَا كِذَّابًا. That's not just denying the ayat, mocking them, turning them into a lie. They're meaningless. Making a joke out of them. وَكُلَّ شَيْءٍ أَحْصَيْنَاهُ كِتَابًا. And every crime that's been committed, everything, we have completely recorded in an archived way, in a backed up way, into a record, a kitab. Please, when you study the Meccan Quran, remember there are 2 books. When you study the Meccan Quran, there are 2 books. There's the book of Revelation, and there's the book of deeds. I'll say that again. The book of Revelation, and the book of deeds. Quran is the book of what? Revelation. These are the books of deeds. How you respond to that book will determine what's going on in these books. First you deny those books, and then that gets recorded in these books. And so he says, وَكُلَّ شَيْءٍ أَحْصَيْنَاهُ كِتَابًا. Everything has been recorded, and we have recorded every single thing in this book. What kind of things does Allah record? سَنَكْتُبُ مَا قَالُوا. We will write down what they say. Sometimes you say things, your father remembers, your mom remembers what you said, your brother remembers, your wife, your husband remembers. I remember still that day you said that. And they remind you. Allah doesn't just remember that one day. Everything you say, He writes down. Every foul word, every lie, every word of oppression, every mean thing you said, everything's written down. Everything. Allah records how you looked, the way you stared at somebody, the bulge on your forehead. ثُمَّ النَّظَرْ ثُمَّ عَبَسَ وَبَصَرْ ثُمَّ أَدْبَرَ وَاسْتَكْبَرْ. Allah will capture the look on your face. That even nobody can record. Allah records. He'll ask you about the look on your face. كُلَّ شَيْءٍ أَحْصَيْنَاهُ كِتَابًا فَذُوقُوا. Then taste it. فَلَن نَزِيدَكُمْ إِلَّا عَذَابًا. We will not increase you. You will come back for increase in mercy. Allah says, we will not be giving you anything more. Yeah, except one thing. I'll give you more punishment. Another haqab, another haqab, another haqab. This horrifying description of hell is then immediately followed by what you and I are hopeful for. Inna lilmuttaqina mafaza. No doubt about it. Believers have the ultimate success. Mafaz is a time of success, a place of success. The place of success is Jannah. The time of success is the day of resurrection. Both of them crammed into one statement. Inna lilmuttaqina mafaza. They're both together. See the word mafaz, because it's a dharf, it captures both the place and the time. Previously, for the criminals, Allah mentioned Judgment Day separately. Allah mentioned hell separately. For the believers, He combined them into one. And that's also to describe how smooth the transition will be from Judgment Day into Jannah for the believers. May Allah make us from them. Inna lilmuttaqina mafaza. For those who protected themselves, those who took caution, there is going to be ultimate success. Allah could have said for those who believe, but no, He said those who protect themselves. At the end of the day, the struggle to get to the heaven that Allah made for humanity is the struggle of somebody deciding that they're going to protect themselves. Protect themselves from who? First of all, protect themselves from the evil that lies inside of them. You know, the shuh al-anfus, the greed inside of them, the lust inside of them. Look, inside, we are made of a body and a soul, and your body is an animal. Your body has an appetite. It wants to eat. It wants to fulfill its lusts. Your eyes want to look at things that are attractive. Your body calls for things. And your soul is telling you, stop, protect yourself. You're not like an animal. Stop. You can't just eat whatever you want. You can't just do whatever you want. You have to hold yourself back. And if you keep giving into your body, your soul starts suffocating. And you no longer have the ability to protect yourself. It's like those of you that work out understand. When you don't work out a muscle, it gets weaker. When you go back after a month of taking a break, you can't bench the same weight anymore, man. You got to keep going back and strengthening that muscle. There's an ability inside you to stop you from evil. When you stop exercising that muscle, it gets weaker and weaker and weaker, and you're no longer able to protect yourself. Then you're just an animal. In the Qur'an's language, you're dead. Because your heart is dead. You know, لِيُنذِرَ مَنْ كَانَ حَيًّا. This Qur'an only warns those that are still alive. If you're not alive anymore, then these words don't mean anything. He says, إِنَّ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ مَفَازًا حَدَائِقَ وَأَعْنَابًا. Large gardens with varying colors and grapes. Is this the first time we're hearing about gardens? We heard about gardens in this world before, right? Allah is actually taking us to the next step. I was expecting Him to mention hada'iqa for dunya and jannat for akhirah. He reversed it just to let us know that it's actually one for the other. I gave you this garden. He made this world beautiful because He wants you to go to Jannah. He described that horrible, horrible hell because He doesn't want you to go there. It's better you know about it than you see it. Why does the Qur'an describe hell like this? The Bible doesn't. The Bible doesn't describe hell like this. The Hebrew Bible, by the way, the Torah, has no mention of hell. Zero. Nothing. Much more pleasant. Listen, Allah will describe it, and He will describe it in graphic terms. Why? So that at least now you know. Reality is not going to change if you never read about it, never heard about it, never got scared of it. See, that's why they can make cartoons that make fun of hell. They can have heavy metal music, Highway to Hell. They can have flaming skulls. They could do that. It's a joke to them. It's all good. We're just going to put on, Halloween costumes and have a pitchfork and have a barbecue with the devil and have fake tails. That's all it is. For Muslims, hell is never a joking matter. Hell is not a joking matter for Muslims. Allah talked about it in a way that it took the humor out of the subject. We can only take hell seriously. You know? But now let's turn to these gardens and these grapes. وَكَوَاعِبَ أَتْرَابًا and perfectly matched spouses that are atrab. Atrab actually from turab means the same dirt as you would prefer. Custom wife for the man. Sorry ladies, I'm talking about kawa'ib right now. Exactly as you like her. You know, you could be obsessed with this woman, you love her. But when she opens her mouth sometimes, you want to jump off a cliff. Could be the case. It could be everything about her is so wonderful, but you're not attracted to her. It could be that everything is good, but there's one thing. I'm not even turning to the lady side. They got long lists of things wrong with you. So, but even for a man, I wish if there was this one thing, oh my God, she'd be perfect. Ain't no such thing as perfect in this life. Allah will give you the exact kind of spouse that is perfectly suited for you. Later on, maybe in another session, I'll describe what ladies get. Not the surah today, sorry. Okay, I'm going to go in Quran order. But it's coming, inshallah. I will talk about it. وَكَأْسًا دِهَاقًا. And by the way, that is mentioned because that was man's greatest temptation. That was, in fact, man's greatest temptation. And that was something that, Allah Azza wa Jal will describe was Shaitan's ultimate plot. Is to get man to become shameless. Fahisha. And so he says, I'll take care of you. Your wildest dreams, I'll take care of. وَكَأْسًا دِهَاقًا. And cups that are splashing. What am I going to do with a splashing cup? What's the point of mentioning a splashing cup? You know what it is? You're in a lavish gathering. And your cups are expensive cups. Which means you're in an elite setting. A posh hall somewhere. And friends are having drinks and you're like, cheers! And it's like splashing all over and you don't care because nothing gets dirty in Jannah. And it's all good. You're just partying. Splashing drinks is an image of an incredible time. If you were to take this description, gorgeous garden, beautiful women, splashing drinks, astaghfirullah, would be the next word. Like, that's what would it be, wasn't it? If you were flipping channels and that was on it would always change. Abba's in the room. That's what would happen. Nope, this is heaven. It's not going to be like that. It's going to be so much more beautiful. لا يسمعون فيها لغوا ولا كذابا. They will not hear any useless talk in Jannah. In heaven there's no useless talk. That doesn't mean we only talk strictly business. Why? That's a wonderful orange. I wonder how it tastes. It's not boring in Jannah. But actually means, lahu means useless. Like it doesn't serve anything. Everything you talk about is going to have meaning and it's going to feel better. It's not just going to be there to pass the time. Like you guys know lahu. Lahu is, people meet each other. Like this happens often when families get together for like a proposal. Right? As the families come together and they don't know how to start the conversation. So they're like, so how's the weather in Chicago? I heard the airport is going through construction. Oh God, you didn't come here to talk about the airport. Your train system is pretty, no, stop it. Can we talk about, you're just making small talk to get to a point? And a lot of times when small talk happens, you're sitting there going, questioning your existence and how time slows down when some people speak. There's no such thing. There's no boredom. There's no boring conversations in heaven. لا يسمعون فيها لغوا ولا كذابا. And they're not going to have to hear any of those lies that were made, those evil things that were said about Islam, those hurtful things that were said about the Quran or about believers. All that kidhab is actually from before, right? وَكَذَّبُوا بِآيَاتِنَا كِذَّابًا. None of that anymore. You don't have to put up with any of that anymore. That's describing actually that there are gatherings in this dunya where cups are splashing. There's beauty of women around or whatever else, and people are talking trash about Islam. And sometimes you pass by those gatherings and you're the object of ridicule. And Allah says, I will keep all of the beautiful things from that gathering, but I will remove all of the things that used to hurt you. Jaza'an min rabbik. A well-earned compensation from your master. Jaza again. From your master. This time min rabbik. He didn't say min rabbik before. They don't deserve min rabbik. You deserve min rabbik. From your Rabb. But that's not enough. Ata'an. On top of that, a grant. Meaning way more than you deserve. Hisaban. Ata'an hisaban, meaning a grant as a hisab. What that does is, instead of Allah checking, how many good deeds did you do? Okay, give him this many cups. No. He will grant you as hisab. Out of a grant, He will be generous in giving you bonuses, basically, is what ata'an hisaban means. There's no accounting, basically. Just take, just enjoy. Rabbis samawati wal ard. That is the master of the skies and the earth. We go back to the skies and the earth, and that should remind you of the passage about the sky and the earth, and what their function was. And He's the one who made the sky and the earth, who made the man and the woman. Everything in pairs, just like that life and this life. وَمَا بَيْنَهُمَا الرَّحْمَانِ. I know I'm way over my time. What time are you supposed to pray, Aisha? 9:45? Okay, you'll change it to 10 for tomorrow, but I won't finish the surah today, will I? Can I finish the surah? Huh? Yeah, let me finish this passage, and then we will take a pause and then finish the last passage, and then after Isha. I'll try to finish by Isha, which also means I'll have to start by 7. If I had started at 7 today, we would have finished. So I'll make it a point to be here earlier, inshallah. You guys do the same, okay? But let me just wrap this up a little bit. Rabbis samawati wal ardi wa ma baynahuma. The master of the skies and the earth, and whatever lies between them. Ar-Rahman, the exceedingly lovingly, grandly merciful. Ar-Rahman. Why is Allah mentioning Ar-Rahman here? Not Allah. And He already mentioned that He's Rabb. So the word Ar-Rahman is an add-on. I mean, we already know who you're talking about. Ar-Rabb Ar-Rahman is basically what's being said here. The attribute of Rabb is Ar-Rahman here. Rabbi samawati wal ardi wa ma baynahuma Ar-Rahmani. It's majroor because it's a sifa to Rabbi. Why is that important? Because that grant comes from Ar-Rahman. Allah is saying, when He made the skies, He was Ar-Rahman. When He made the earth, He was Ar-Rahman. When He put everything in between them, He was Ar-Rahman. When He put you in heaven and gave you your cups and your drinks, He's Ar-Rahman. That's the same Rahman who started this world, is the same Rahman that's treating you in Jannah, meaning His entire goal in all of creation was to make you appreciate His Rahmah. His goal was not to put you in hell. His goal was to be Rahman to you. That's why He's taking you back to skies and earth and whatever's in between them, being Ar-Rahman. And from here, now that you understand the peace of heaven, we're going to see the final passage of the surah, which is going to be about, once again, Judgment Day. But a new scene of Judgment Day. Not the beginning of Judgment Day, but actually one of the grandest scenes of Judgment Day that ties the whole surah together. And that's what we'll do after the salah. I'll show you how the entire surah comes together and how it's organized in its subject matter. Barakallahu li wa lakum fil Qur'an al-Hakim wa nafa'ani wa iyyakum bil ayati wa dhikr al-Hakim.